Hi there, and very welcome to this Insomnia Insight episode in which we will talk about 3 times when it's a little bit harder to help. And when I say that, that's from my perspective as a sleep coach. I've been thinking about this episode for quite a long time because I see patterns when I have a client that is a little bit harder to you know, guide towards where they want to be. And then I see those patterns, and of course I want to talk about them, so it can help you or anyone who could benefit from this. So without further ado, actually, let's jump in here. And again, I've seen these patterns many times, so I hope you'll find this helpful. So the first out of the three that I find can make things a little tricky is what I call here set ideas. And this is when someone has a thought or a belief that there's just they're just not willing to question that whatsoever. It's kind of the foundational idea they have. And I remember it specifically that I had a client who said something like this, that my skin looks bad because I don't sleep enough. And this was a client I had within BedTyme who stayed on for the free trial, which is 7 days. And then I never heard from that person again. I hope she's doing really well, of course. I always hope that. But what happened was that this belief was there. Like this client had come to that time to somehow work on this, but the idea was like my skin looks bad because I don't sleep enough. And uh, I tried to sort of educate my client on how, like, if we think in this way, there will be so much pressure to sleep. If we think like, okay, I have to look good, I want to look good, and the only way I can do that is if I sleep more. That pressure to sleep will create some struggle with sleeping. But no matter what I said, there was always like, no, this is it. So that the work ended with actually this client saying, I'm going to try some supplements to make me sleep so I look better. And I don't know what happened. Hopefully she's doing fantastic. But again, I see this like when there's a set idea that makes things a little tricky. And another one is, and this is not like, I put it in quotation marks, but nobody will say this, but maybe it's an idea that we can have, which is like my fatigue is 100% correlated to how much I sleep. Or you can put something else in there. My X is 100% correlated to how much I sleep. My exhaustion, my brain fog, my inability to focus, like, so many things can be put here. But if we think that anything is like 100% predicated upon exactly how many hours we sleep, that is one of these like set ideas that can make it really tricky to get to a place where we're not so attached to sleeping a certain amount, which creates a lot of pressure. So set ideas was the first one that I see often as making things a little bit harder for myself as a coach. And of course, when we've gone through these three, we're going to talk about how we can meet these situations. So number two was this one, when somebody is what I call here in hiding. This is not uncommon either. And this is when I have a client, or maybe somebody here on the YouTube channel, who shows up with some questions, and then those questions are answered, and then there's relief. There's a relief, and this person starts sleeping easier. And then they just like, okay, everything's good. Let's look the other way. Let's preoccupy. Let's not think about this anymore. Like something like that. And so I said here, like, this person kind of leaves the path, if you will, as soon as things are a little easier, right? Or another way I often say this is that this person hasn't properly looked under the hood. They've seen, like, they had some fear, and they kind of saw the fear inside them. They saw these thoughts they had that produced the fear. And as soon as like some of those thoughts were met, they're like, okay, now I feel better. I'm not scared anymore. Okay, that's it. Let me go on with my life. I don't want to bother with this anymore. And this is a very natural thing that can happen. But if somebody sort of leaves the path before they have fully seen, what's happening on the inside, that those kind of the fear starts creeping back again. And that person comes back and it's like, what's happening now? And then there's a little reassurance, and then okay, good, kind of this person's kind of in and out of the path towards peace. And it's again very, very natural, because this path is not a pleasant one. But I think the thing that makes it tricky is that even between these episodes of like intense fear, there's kind of this lingering fear. So I think this person is like never really fully free, etc. So I think this in hiding situation, when people go into hiding as soon as they feel a little bit better, is one place that is tricky. And then the final one, which I never talked about actually. So I think for some of you who are longtime viewers here may, you know, find something new here. And this is when you have many teachers, and this is a common one. And actually, was kind of one of the main ideas that I really want to put out here, because I see this quite often. And this is someone who says, "Hey, Daniel, like my psychiatrist tells me this, my counselor tells me this, my psychologist tells me this, my friend tells me this, and I heard this on the internet, and you're telling me this." I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit, but it's not uncommon at all that somebody has like 4 or 5 sources of information, and they try to reconcile all of it, and they try to follow this and follow that, and do a little bit of that and a little bit of that. And when I see this, kind of what makes me so, you know, what I really want to convey is that maybe independently, each one of these paths may very well lead you where you want to be, but when you kind of combine and you listen to a little bit of this, listen to a little bit of that, it seems that you find conflicts, and it seems like, oh, if this is true, then this can't be true, and you get into this situation where things are kind of scary and confusing, and you feel stuck, right? So this is a very common one, and again, nothing here is medical advice. But that said, if it's applicable too, I do think that. Okay, I kind of skipped ahead. Let's see. Let's go to the next part, which is how to meet this. Okay, and we'll get to what I was just about to say. Will be kind of at the end of this. All right. So now we've seen these three situations where I, as a coach, find it's a little harder to guide someone. Right. So if we look at them and how to meet the situation, so how do we meet the ones where someone has a very, very set idea? Well, if this is you, I would say this: consider where the set idea has led you. You know, has this idea, this thought, led you to where you want to be, or not? And if the answer is not really, I'm still struggling, then I want to say that uh, considering where the idea has led you often is all you need to do. It can often seem like, okay, I have this idea that my skin will look terrible if I don't sleep enough. And I see how that idea hasn't led me where I want to be. So now I have to change that idea. I think that's quite tricky, because when we kind of deliberately try to make ourselves think something different, it can be quite tricky. So often I think it's just the awareness of seeing like, aha, this idea actually has led me to this struggle or staying in the struggle. Often that's all. Just seeing that automatically leads to change. So again, set idea, I think just consider where the idea is leading you or has led you. I think that's really helpful. And the second one was if somebody's into kind of like in and out of hiding, if you will. And I would say just again, awareness, see where if you can see that, I just kind of pop in and out of this journey, but I haven't fully looked inside of me. I haven't really wanted to see kind of the mess that we all have inside us. Pema Chodron, she writes these beautiful books, and I've only read actually half of one. It was so good, I just stopped. I kind of want to savor the rest of it. But she talks about how like there's this like gooey, smelly, stinky stuff that's inside us. Like we all have these ideas and thoughts that aren't nice to look at. We judge ourselves, we judge others, we have ideas within ourselves that we don't want to see, and when we hide from them, they kind of like they live a life of their own, if you will. So if you find yourself having been in this situation where you, as soon as things get a little easier, you just kind of distract yourself, do something else, then maybe see if you can find some courage to just look inside and see everything. Like look under the hood, take a proper look under the hood, and stay there for a while until you've seen everything, right? That I think can really, really help. And then finally, and it's kind of obvious, right? If I said that, it can be tricky if you're listening simultaneously to many, many teachers, then maybe consider just listening to one teacher at a time. Again, here, no medical advice. Anyone who's concerned about your health, like talk to your doctor and listen to your doctor, of course. But if you find yourself having like, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a counselor, a coach, other people, maybe consider following kind of one path at a time and see where that leads you. I think that can be really helpful. So I'll end there. As always, let me know what your thoughts. Look forward to hearing your comments in the comment section, and to have you back here to listen. Until next time, take it easy.